In Chapter 16 of my FE7 Meg Units Only Ironman, we are tasked to save Lynn's Legion and liberate Caelin Castle from occupiers. We get access to Lynn, the last of the three lords that must not die, and to Will the Archer, my beloved. We also get access to Kent and Sane, which are essentially temporary APCs, and Florina, which is a helicopter. They will be facing practically no combat, but will transport people around and collect secondary objectives. We start off by sending Florina toward a nearby village to extract an entire village's GDP in the form of a red gem, and deny the thief that was en route to steal it from them anyway. We are the good guys, I swear. Dorcas is also placed in range of 3 Pegasus Knights to be dealt with on enemy phase as we huddle the rest of my army behind Oswin as he cripples a set of mercenaries with follow-up kills. To close out the turn, we move the 2 Christmas-themed APCs to the southern forest next to the village to draw over some more mercenaries and myrmidons, setting up kills for the following turn with Will and Lynn. We lastly place Will on this exact tile on turn 1 so he can counterattack the incoming Pegasus Knights from the northeast. It's one of the few times an archer can do something on enemy phase since the enemies attack him using javelins. This is far less consistent on untrained Will from Lynn mode, but most likely Kent and Sane could pick up the slack in a normal playthrough. The follow-up turn is mostly cleaning up the remnants and repositioning our range-capable units along the western ridge, and using a combination of Oswin, Hector, and eventually Ellawood to hold the cavalry back, and thanks to the Draco Shield from last chapter, Ellawood has a respectable 10 defense when he starts holding the line for the ridge. The reason we use Ellawood to hold this choke point instead of Hector or Oswin is that they are needed to deal with some relatively tanky cavalry that thought that they could hit our northwest flanks on turn 8, but thanks to advancements in telecommunications, we were able to anticipate this ambush and deal with it over the course of several turns. And by advanced telecommunications, I mean using the Fire Emblem War of Dragons wiki. Well, actually, I learned it from trial and error, but no person should feel ashamed about checking these sites for reinforcement spawns, especially for later maps, or the absolute cruelty that is FE6 reinforcements. Ugh. But anyway, we dispatch the cavalry, and during that exchange, Lynn's crew goes to the gates of the second village to see a weak elderly man throw a heavy spear at them in retaliation for disturbing the peace. Luckily, throwing a heavy spear is impossible since it is a one-range weapon, and Sane takes the worthless spear to be sold at our nearest Walmart. A lot of shopping was done at this point since we won't have time to resupply until Chapter 21. Luckily, I had the foresight to cut out all of that, and we can just move on to the last few turns of the map, which includes baiting a ballista using Oswin's face, as well as a mage who gets impaled by a javelin. We also try to prioritize giving Oswin as many levels as possible here, as we need him to be level 20 by Chapter 18. We also take the time to cap off a few levels on various units using the boss, just to make our next chapter a little easier. While that training montage goes on, we get some progress on supports for Ellawood, Hector, and Lynn before closing out the chapter. The last thing I do is take one of my APCs and rescue the other APC. Putting 2 transportation vehicles together causes a rip in the space-time continuum, resulting in a black hole that evaporates Sane, Kent, and Florina. Luckily, a space-time pocket forms in my merchant's tent, allowing us to access 15 extra inventory slots from the void itself. Amazing.